Hi people, so today I'm going to show you most the basic tool of Photoshop. So once you have Photoshop open, you can just take Control N to make a new document, and then we can just change all of the document settings within here, and then we can just press OK to make a new document. Once you made a new document, you can simply double click on the background layer to make it to a new layer that you can actually edit. There's some shortcuts which are real helpful when it comes to your layers. Control G duplicates a layer, and then Control E automatically merges the layer with the layer beneath. Otherwise, if you select multiple layers and hit Control E, it merges them all together. Control G makes a G make a makes a group, and then you can make multiple layers of in that group, and then you can also hit Control E on a group, and it will merge all of the layers in that group. To import any photo into Photoshop, you're going to simply click and drag it to the scene, and then you can just click and drag the corner of the image to scale it. Otherwise, you can Control Alt, and then it will scale it from the center outwards. And then you can hold Alt and Shift, and it will uniformly scale it from the center outward. Then you can also right click, you can rotate the picture, flip it, do all sort of other things as well. And then if you hold Control, you can then skew the picture and change perspective and the angle. You can also hold Control and Alt, and then it will change it on two axes. As well, just to confirm or delete the changes, you can simply hit escape to get rid of the changes, or you can just hit enter to confirm the changes that you made. If you can edit a layer, that's probably because it's not rasterized. If it has this little icon here, you can just simply right click on the layer, hit rasterize layer, and then you can duplicate it. You can merge it and do whatever you want. You can also hit Ctrl U on the keyboard to go to hue and saturation. Here you can change the color of the picture, the saturation, and the lightness. You can also hit Ctrl I to embed a picture. If you want to add any sort of effect, such as blurs and distorts and things like that, we can just go to the up to the word filter on the top bar here, and then we have this drop down menu here of things like the blur gallery, Dexter pixelate, sharpen, all sort of effect. So if I just quickly add a Gaussian blur to this and hit OK, you can see it adds a blur. You can also hit Control Alt E to apply no, Control Alt F to apply the last effect that use within that gallery. So if I keep hitting Control Alt F, you can see it just adds more blur on top of that previous one. And this also works for multiple effects. So if I go to the store and then Spirize hit OK, then I can press Ctrl Alt F again, and then it'll reply that Spirize. So whatever you see, last it will reply that all the color correction and changing options you'll find in adjustments panel. You can just go to the window and then adjustments to bring up the panel, and then you can see it here. Here where you can change a brightness and cluster your levels, your vibrance, your color, look up a gradient map. All of these sort of things are really common thing a lot of people don't know about Photoshop is the vibrance. The difference between vibrance and saturation. Saturation increase the saturation of all of the colors, and image vibrance increase the saturation of all of the color besides skin tone. If you want to make an image look a lot more vibrant, but not make not make people look orange, then turn up the vibrance instead of all the saturation. If you want to add text or any sort of effects or type to your image, you can click the T to go to the type tool, and then you can just simply start typing. I could just type in my name here. Once you select that text, you can clicking and dragging. You can change the color, and then if you hold Control and click and drag over the font size, that then immediately change the font size as well. And then open the top menu while selected or text, we can just change the font and all of those other things, and all those other sort of options. As far as the spacing and the alignment and everything, and simply just double click on the T of the layer, select the text for you. You can also add a layer style to any layer in Photoshop simply by double clicking on the right hand side of the layer in the open space, and then you basically add a effect that only apply to that layer. So I could add a gradient overlay to my name here. I could select different gradient like different gradient like that. Press OK. Now only applies to that layer, and or all sort of effects as well. It only plays that layer, and then I can right click on that layer. I can copy the layer style, and then I could right click on the another layer and paste that same layer style on top of another layer as well. Then you can just right click on any layer and then click on clear layer style to remove all the layer style settings. Otherwise, you can click on the little drop down arrow and then just turn off that eye for the effects. So you turn off the visualization of those effects. If you try to raise a text layer, it won't work because it's a text layer and you need to rasterize. So to the rasterize, you simply right click. Click on the rasterize layer style, and then you can just hit E on your keyboard, and then you can start erasing any layer. Once it's rasterized and Photoshop, this thing is called layer mask, which is just a much better way to erase things. You can just click on the little icon on the bottom right hand corner here, which says add layer mask, and how layer mask work. It works within your brush tool. So if you paint in black, it erases, and then you can just press X to sub your color, swatch the white, and then you can paint in white. If you didn't know, the X swap the little color swatches down here, you can see them changing. So you're painting in black to erase, and then painting in white to fill it back. To fill it back. Into save document, you can just hit Ctrl S, and then to save as you can just hit Ctrl Shift S to save as. Then you can just save the file as a PSD, which retain all of the layer information and all of the editing for Photoshop. Otherwise, you're going to save it as a flat photo like PNG or JPEG as well. So that is how to learn Photoshop. Obviously, there's a lot more to learn and what I just showed you in this video. But what I showed you will do some great things for any beginner to know, and you can just start creating and editing photos straight away with the tool that I showed you. See you next time.
O 前はもう